Welcome to this session on creating analytic apps in Alteryx. I'm going to jump right into it. We're going to use the Simplex website. At the point you get to it, you'll find the black belt topics further down here, and the booklet should have what you need to learn this content. The current version of the booklet will have a black belt section with interface tools as content. Make sure you let the booklet drive your learning. So start by reading, read about the action tool, do the interactive lessons. You will learn a lot of useful things that will otherwise not be clear to you. We assume that you've done that before you get this far. Here's a section on the checkbox, the condition tool, and it will tell you when to go to the Simplex workflow and start working there. So I am going to jump over into that now. And here we are on the interface Simplex workflow. I've already put in my credentials, so you shouldn't need to worry about that. You don't necessarily need to set it in only if you want credit for the work. So start reading here, of course. I'm going to jump past that since I'll be introducing you to these exercises slowly. We'll quickly run exercise 0 and then 1 and 2, and then I'll pick a more advanced exercise to take you through a sort of freebies. Let's take a look. And what you're going to do is always to copy the tool container, Control C in this case, open a new workflow and paste it in. And since we have a tool, we have an interface tool here, the action tool, and a checkbox from up here. We can now immediately save. And in this case, I am going to put it right here, exercise 0. And notice that Alteryx, because we put in an interface tool or two here, it recognizes that this is an analytic app that you're creating. Always open those from within Alteryx if you have a file like this. Otherwise, it will not work. It will start the application and run it instead of opening it in Alteryx to edit further. So save that. Let's see if a run will work here now. Yep. And it's ready to check this exercise with the check tool. I'm not going to do that because it's going to be wrong anyway. Or maybe not. We will see. So data, we have some data here. We're auto-fielding all the data types just because we're feeling a little lazy today. And then there is a formula tool setting that if the amount is greater than or equal to 50, then it's true. Otherwise, it is false. And storing that as a string, probably not the best call, but it is what it is. Over 50 equals false, then those are the rows that are going to be sent up to the server and checked. So with the interface tool, it's a little bit finicky in Alteryx. I always recommend once you've made a change in any of these interface tools, click the regular run first. So I'll actually run it now and we'll see what happens. We can check it even. And let's see what we get. And we get an error. It does not like our output, too few records. So that's been set up on purpose to make it so that you actually need these interface tools. So what we're doing here is that we're building an interface. So right now we put in a checkbox where the text that's going to be displayed is exclude transactions under $50. Yes or no? No default value on that. And the way to look at this is to go to View and Interface Designer. And here you will see what the interface will look like when it's in use. So I'm going to turn that off for now. And what's happening here is that between the interface tool and the regular tool, you will generally put in an action tool, and that will pull in the setting of the tool it's connected to through the lightning bolts and update it based on what's coming in from above. So let's take a look at what that looks like. So here, the text action tool grabs from the tool underneath it how it's set up. It knows it's a filter tool and that it's been set to a value over 50 equals false, which it took from the filter tool here. Over 50 equals false. So again, what it's going to do is that it's going to replace the false from within this tool with the alternative, potentially true. So we'll take a look at that. So this is going to come down with a true or a false. If it is true or regardless, it's going to be replaced with a true and a false. So let's take a look at how that works. I've run it already, so I can now go and run it with the interface tool as an analytic app. Click on that, and I get the interface. Say I do want to exclude transactions under 50, and finish. Check it. And here we get no sense from the Simplex tool whether we got it right or not. And show output log. And here we go. The answer is correct, and the schema was correct. So clearly we changed it by excluding transactions under $50. And had we brought in the assignment, it would have been a little bit easier to see, but we'll do that for the next few problems, and it'll be easier to understand. So click OK and exit, and we're done with this exercise. Okay, on to exercise 1. We're going to copy the container again, copy the text, Control C, create a new workflow, and paste it in. And I like to do my development without things being in the tool container. So I'm going to right click on the tool container and delete container only. Will give me a little bit more flexibility in my development. I'm going to, let's see, filter transactions above $67 at the click of a button. Okay, so we're going to yet again need the check tool and an action tool under that. And again, I'm pulling them in right away so that Alteryx will know that this is an analytic application we're creating. I'm going to save now that I've done that and save it as exercise 1 and overwrite that. Okay, so as soon as I do that, I should have access to my file. So that's working. Everything else is not working, but that's okay. I'm going to put in an auto field tool, and I am going to put in a formula tool and create a new column called over 67 question mark. And I'm going to do my slow if-then statement, go and put in a function, conditional if, that's not the if then I wanted. I'm going to delete that, go back, conditional if then else, clean it up a little bit, put it on different rows, and start developing. So what we're going to look at here is that if amount in dollar is greater than 67, I'm going to put in a text of true, else I'm going to say false. And we'll contain that in a string and move on to a filter. Now, what I would normally now do, and notice it connected up to my action tool right away. We could have done that manually, but let's just do this one now. I got myself an error here. Why do we have that? Oh, because we have not run yet, and the auto type tool here is finicky. It will not actually send anything on to the next tool in the right data type until you run it. So now we should be fine. I'm going to take this variable over 67 equals, and now I expect the right answer to be true. And if I put that in and pipe it over to the check tool over here, I will probably get the correct answer. At least that's what I reason. So instead, I am actually going to say false here as a way to test my application. So let's do that and give it a quick run. And notice here that now I get all the rows that are uh, equal to or less than 67 going into the true output. And actually what I was looking for, if if a user wants only amounts over 67, comes out in the false, um, which means that if I run this like a normal Alteryx application and I ask it to check it, it's going to come back with an error saying this is not the right answer. And that's fine. We want to keep it that way for now. And go and take a look at the interface tools again. So we have a checkbox. I'm going to change that. Do you want to filter out transactions smaller than $67? And default is going to be no. And then I'm going to go into my action tool again. Notice that we have to expand all the pluses here and take a look at what's here. This is the setup of the filter tool underneath it. It grabbed all the information from here, pulled it up, and shared the details with us. And what we're going to do here is that we're going to take the false, which is a value that we're evaluating on, and replace a specific string. We're going to replace the false with what's coming in from the checkbox, true or false. So that should be all we need to do. I'm going to click on the canvas background. I'm going to give it a run because and we don't have to actually check the exercise. We know that just the regular Alteryx workflow will not get the right answer. But the running it actually updates the values up in the interface tools so that we can now run as an analytic app. And I do want to filter out those transactions. So finish, check. And notice that we're not getting any warnings or correct answer down here, but we now have to show the output log. And here we see the schema is correct, answer is correct. And so that's a successful run. So again, what happened here was that the value here was replaced with a true by the action tool because we checked the interface tool and said, yes, we want that to be true. Welcome back. Let's do exercise number 2. This one seems more extensive. I'm going to copy my tool container and the text, Control C, create a new workflow, and paste it in. And I seem to have failed to grab the problem statement. So I'm going to go back and try one more time, see if it's more friendly this time. There we go. And I'm going to get rid of the tool container again and see what we can do here. So this problem statement is a little bit more gentle. It asks us to develop a workflow that uses 2 separate summarize tools to do steps 1 and 2. And it seems like we've been given exactly that. Take a look and make sure you're comfortable with that. And then pipe both tools into a union tool and then into the check tool. Try it out. It should yield an incorrect answer from the check tool. We did this part for you. I would run it, but because I created a new workflow, it doesn't remember where this file is. It's now defaulting to another directory. So I'm going to throw a check tool in here and then go and save. File, save as, and call this exercise 2. And now I should be able to run it because it's in the right directory. And we can check that exercise and see how we do. One too many records in your output. Okay. Fair enough. Let's go ahead and develop the workflow that's needed for this. So the first thing we're going to do is that we're going to say, hey, would you like a detailed analysis? Yes, no, a checkbox of yes, or check the box means true, and not means false. So we're going to put in now, so that the logic is the following. If they check the box that they want an advanced analysis, this summarize tool contains the simple analysis. And this summarize tool contains the advanced analysis. So if they check true, we would really like to go down here. So let's put in a couple of action tools, connecting each of these tools to the checkbox, just like that. And if it's true here, we don't want to do this. So let's see if we can set this up. In this case, unlike the previous case, we're not updating the value. At least I would not think so. Oh, you know what? I forgot something. We need one more tool here, and that is our handy dandy condition tool. So I'm going to remove the connection because the connection tool is needed to determine which of these 2 action tools to go to. True down here, false down here. And let's see what we can do here. So click on the condition tool. That's going to get the true or false from the checkbox. And we notice here that we have connections from questions. Number 1, checkbox. Double click on it, put it in. That's now your variable equals true. If that is true, go down here. They want a detailed analysis, but in this case, we're going to delete the tool because they don't want the simple analysis, what we connected to here. And if it's false, then we're going to go here and delete that tool. So uh, again, the logic can be a little bit confusing. So let's go through that one more time. The user is, if they want a detailed analysis, they're going to check the box here. That's going to send down either a true or a false to this tool. And if it's true, that is the box was checked, then it's going to go down here and delete this tool, which did a simple analysis, and vice versa. If they didn't check the box, it's going to go down here and it's going to delete this summarize tool. So let's clear my drawings from that and try this out. I'm going to again run it a quick time through here. No need to check the exercise because we know it doesn't give us the right answer. Run as analytic app. And in fact, I would like a detailed analysis. Finish. Check the exercise. And we're going to have to take a look at the output log. And indeed, our answer and our schema are correct. So always do the following after getting the answer right. Try the other option in the interface. Finish. Let's do a check on that again. And now we get an error. So always check all combinations in an analytic app to make sure that you did not just give the user the right answer because it's sort of the default in your workflow. Let's go ahead and do exercise number 3, the drop-down tool. Again, I'm going to copy the problem statement and the tool container into a new workflow. Let's see what we have here. So here is, and again, I'm going to get rid of the container. My recommendation for creating analytic apps is to always create the workflow first. So we're going to create a workflow that filters out all rows but those from Houston. Okay, so that would generally require a filter tool. Let's do that. And event location equals Houston. Okay. And then we're going to do a summarization on the records from Houston, presumably, where we're going to summarize event count, average ticket price, and total attendees by location. By location is keyword for a group by, and average ticket price event count. So I will do the date and just do a count on that. And then we want average ticket price. But notice, of course, this is a string now. So we need to auto field. Give it a quick run. And of course, that's when we realize that we have this in the wrong directory. It's under Alteryx bin. So again, I wanted to save it as the right kind of tool, or rather program. Check tool. Drop down. Let's find the drop down tool here. And of course, you read the booklet, so you'll know about some of the options available here. But since we're not going to read it together now, I'm just going to throw this tool maybe here. And then I'll go and give this file a save. as problem exercise is 3. And that should get us the data. We're now looking in the right directory. I'm going to run that quickly. Okay, and now I can probably go in and ask for ticket price. I want average, send a numeric, average. Make sure I get the right name of that, AVG ticket price. Extra underscore there. And then total attendees. Number of attendees. So that's probably a sum here. But we're going to rename that as total attendees. Once the check tool tells you that this is wrong, build an interface. Okay, let's run it through and be told that this is wrong. Take a second. Column event count is missing. Count should not be in your output. So this is actually useful in spite of being wrong. So we probably gave event count the wrong name. Event count. I'll give it one more run just so it can tell us once more that we are wrong. But the schema is correct, so that's something. We've got the right number of rows and columns here. So that's a good starting point. Once the check tool tells you that this is wrong, build an interface with a drop-down populated with all unique values from the location field with default as Chicago. Run it with the defaults. So here's a nice little thing here for the drop-down. You can actually take values, in this case, from the original data file, locations like San Francisco, Houston. You do a crosstab on location, and it doesn't really matter what else you do and how you pick values and whether you concatenate to first or last. I'll change it to, I guess, a first. And what you get out from this tool is a series of columns, one per location. And that's actually all that we care about now. We're actually going to pipe those right into the drop-down tool. And it's going to use those columns. We're going to give a text to this drop-down tool. Select a location and default selection, Chicago. Okay. And we still need to connect this drop-down to the location so we can change the location here. So we need an action tool between them. Expand all the options here until you find Houston, what it's being set up with down here, and select the row that says Houston and replace a specific string. And it already figures out that it's a Houston without quotes or anything that you want to replace. There's a hint. Drop-downs can take column headers as input. What tool can make rows into headers? Well, we already gave you the crosstab. So we are ready to test this. Now, I made some changes here to the interface tools just to make sure that those changes are reflected. I'm going to run it the normal way, but I don't need to check the exercise. I know that's wrong. And now I'm going to run it as an analytic app. Keep it at the default, which is Chicago. Click Finish, and then check the exercise. Again, no output files. That's good. Show output log. Congrats, schema and answer are both correct. So we are done with this one. Okay, let's get going on one more exercise. Let's level up a bit. We'll go for exercise 12, the last one. So again, I'm going to copy this problem statement and the existing workflow into a new workflow. And There we go. I'm gonna get rid of the tool container again and move the tools down. Okay, so we need 4 interface tools. Okay, let's just start with that. First, we need a drop down. Here we go. Drop down for category. Pick a category. Okay, a numeric up down. Here we go. Minimum amount. Select amount. Okay, we might as well put in the numbers here. Range from 0 to a maximum of 200. Default should be 100. An increment or step should be 20. And that should be it. We need a list box. Is the third tool. And list box for payment method. Payment method. And a checkbox labeled all data. Okay. All data, question mark. Okay. Uncheck for weekend only. Oh, this is going to be painful. Uncheck for weekend only. Okay. So I'll do a default of true for this one. And then, it's supposed to say all of that. Uncheck for, sure. Uncheck for weekend only. I'll find all dining transactions with a card, a bill greater than or equal to 60, and made on a weekend. Ugh. Okay. Okay, a number of ways we could do this. I'm gonna give myself a little bit more space here. And here, there we go. Okay, so category, picking a category. So what we're probably going to need here is a crosstab, but I'm realizing, of course, also that we're probably going to need to do an auto field again. So I'll start with that, and I'll put the crosstab after that and connect the crosstab into the dropdown. And let's see here, that's supposed to be category. So column header, we have to run for the auto field to work. And of course, we realize now we're not in the right directory. Since I've put in some interface tools, we should be able to save it now as an analytic app. Exercise 12. And now we'll run it again so that the auto field tool can get some real data. Now, I don't know why that's still reacting. It's just being slow to update. And now we're going to pick category and just about anything else here. Not category though. Date, pick the first. Doesn't really matter what. And that's going to become input into the category. If we run it now quickly, we'll be able to see that we are getting a number of columns here. Dining, education, entertainment, groceries. Now, there may be one more thing we would want to do with that, because people don't generally want these kinds of things in just some random order. So sorting columns is kind of hard. So I'm going to see if I'm able to sort the input here before it gets to the crosstab. And category, ascending. Let's see if that takes care of it. And dining, education, entertainment, that looks more promising if you ask me. So let's say that's it. Now we could do all of this with probably one filter, but I'm going to do one filter per tool just for simplicity's sake. So now we want to replace, first we want to set up that category equals, I don't know what were our options here. Dining is one option, but I'll pick another one because I know I don't want to pick the one that's the right answer. So let's do education. Category equals education. And then we'll go in here and expand until we find education. And we'll replace that with whatever the user selects from above. Now, next step, minimum amount. So I'll do another filter. As I said, this could have all been done with one filter, I believe, but we'll do one per interface tool and connect this down. And in this case, minimum amount. So we're going to go for amount must be greater than or equal to, I believe that indicates. And we'll just pick 6, 7 as a starting point. And then we're going to go and expand action tool and find our 6, 7 and replace that with whatever the user selects. And that should be it for that one. One more filter tool. And I will just say that the payment method should be equal to, I don't know, region express. Something that doesn't exist in the data. So I'll throw in an action tool now. And we will replace whatever, update that value with whatever the user selects. Now, of course, we either have to put in a full list of alternative payment methods. And here's where it gets tricky. Now, I jumped the gun a little bit here. So let's see if we can recover. But we'll continue for a second as if we are dealing with a dropdown, but we're not. So we're going to go and do the same thing again here. We're going to find a crosstab tool and put the data into it. And we're going to go ahead and pick payment, actually not group by payment method, but column header payment method. And values, it doesn't matter. But again, we're going to put in a sort before we get to this and sort by payment method and pipe this into the list box. Now, As you probably read about in the booklet, payment method is a little bit different and quite a bit trickier. Whereas with a drop down, you can only pick one category. So it's a pretty easy thing to replace education with the category they selected. But a list box, you can check multiple things. So a payment method here cannot be replaced with just one thing. So we're going to go ahead and change this from an equals to an in statement and replace Norwegian Express like this. And recognizing that we could get multiple values in here and all of them are correct, we're going to go back up here again. And instead of select tool mode, we're going to go to generate custom list, which will start with a quote and have separators between the quotes. So there's going to be a quote, a value that the user picks, another quote, then a comma, then a column or a quote rather, and potentially one or more cases, excuse me, of whatever the user picks from the list box. So now we have to go to the action tool, expand out, and pick this. And now we actually have to clean it up a little bit. And in this case, we're actually going to do it a little bit differently. We're going to keep the quotes because they have to go as well because they're being put in by the action tool. So they're going to get replaced, including Norwegian Express, with whatever the user picks. So that's it, I think. And finally, find all dine-in transactions with a card, a bill greater than or equal to 60, made on a weekend. So we still have this weekend thing to deal with. This one is potentially quite painful. So I'm going to solve it by putting in a formula tool and create a new column. Weekend, question mark, and again do an if then statement. If C, then, okay. Okay, well, that alone may not do it. So what do I need before that? Let's take a look at our data. So we have date, category, amount dollar, payment method, transaction ID, merchant, location, customer ID. Day of week. Okay, we're actually given day of week. Otherwise, we'd have to do some functions on the date. So I'm relieved to see that that's been taken care of. So that makes things easy. If day of week equals Saturday or day of week equals Sunday, without the Y, Sunday, then true, quotes will, and if, okay, so not quite ready to hook it up. So we now have whether it's a Saturday or Sunday. We still need a filter to say weekend equals true. And I'm going to go ahead and put in an action tool and pull it down. So update value, all data, and check for weekend only. So this one is currently set to true. So for weekend only, the user is gonna uncheck it, which will send a value of false down. So a false and uncheck would be that they want all the data. So false equals all the data. Gonna go and change this to currently it's set to true from here. I'm gonna replace that true with whatever comes from above, and that's often the simplest way to think about it if you're struggling with a truth logic here. We could potentially just try it, but let's try to think through it logically first. So let's assume it's unchecked, which would be interpreted as a false because checked is true. If so, that is weekend only is being requested. That's going to go down here, and false is going to get replaced. This gets replaced with a false. So if I uncheck it for weekend only, then weekend is not true. So now I'm going to get all the data. So the logic here, unfortunately, is not favoring me. So I have a choice now. I could go and actually change check for weekend only. It goes a little bit against the user instructions. But let's try that out and see if I got the logic right. Now we're gonna uncheck it. Then we only want the weekend. And I think that might work. Let's see if I can clear my drawings and run it through one more time just to get everything updated. And this is a good time. Part of the problem right now is that it's hard to test. So I'm going to go and show everything and show. And so I clicked on the canvas background, went to the canvas options, and set it up to show me what's happening. I lost all my data here because I put in Norwegian Express. It might be better if I find a case, for example, of card and use that here so I can test this workflow. Card. That means I need to update this again and replace card. And if I run that again, it should go a little further with data. I don't need to test it yet, but I'm actually getting data through. You see the rows here going through. I can check now, and presumably that's going to tell me that that's not the right answer. Too many records. The column weekend should not be in your output. Okay. That's good to know. We'll take care of that before we get into the solution check. And just like that, I don't need it anymore here, so I'll uncheck it. Of course, it's still going to be wrong. But we're now ready to run this because everything has been updated. And here's our interface. So what was the categories? All dining transactions with a card, a bill greater than or equal to 60, made on a weekend. Check for weekend only. Let's see if I got my logic right. Finish. An operator must be between operands. Filter 19, parse error at character 21. Okay, I replaced something and I didn't do it well. So let's take a look at filter 19. And that would be this one. Of course, it's the list box. Let's see. Because this is the list box, you may remember that we're generating the quotes as well. So what happened here was that I replaced only card from this. If we go back here and pick it again, you'll see that I really need to keep the quotes because they're going to get replaced too. So that was my mistake. Need to run it again to update all the values. Don't need to send it in there. And now I'll run as an analytic app. Dining again, greater than or equal to 60. Card. And weekend only. Finish. Check exercise 12. Let's see what it says. Yes. Correct. So done with that one. So thank you for hanging with me on one of the more advanced problems we had here. And good luck with the rest of the problems. Thank you.